There is a legal pathway being explored by the Trump administration to revoke U.S. citizenship from Americans who went through the naturalization process. A memo out this week outlines how the administration plans to denaturalize some citizens and remove them from the country. Our Angeline McCall explains.
Every day, residents turn into citizens, a process that takes years. Now, the Trump administration wants to make its own process to revoke citizenship under certain circumstances.
This particular administration is using all of the weapons that it has at its power to skirt people out of the typical immigration system, which is famously backlogged.
Immigration attorney and CU Associate Dean Violeta Chapin describes a memo this week that proposes denaturalizing citizens for serious offenses like war crimes, but also for suspicion of lying on immigration forms or defrauding the government for things like benefits. The memo describes this denaturalization under civil law, meaning the government has a lower bar to prove and a defendant has no right to an attorney.
What we shouldn't tolerate is any presidential administration, regardless of political party, to be circumventing legitimate and important processes that allow people to say their part in a complete and transparent way.
Advocates say while the memo lays out certain crimes, the fear is that it would be used more broadly.
It seems ripe for abuse and setting up a situation where the government, the Trump administration, can target people that they deem as political rivals, right, who are naturalized citizens.
Raquel Lane Arellano works with the Colorado Immigrant Rights Coalition.
Seeing this administration carry out deportations, there's no guarantee that there will be genuine due process. This is one of the scariest things I've seen from this administration.
The fear that people will lose their citizenship after they've done things the so-called right way and were already granted citizenship.
People who are applying to be citizens, there is a robust background search that has gone into everyone. And the vast majority of people who are naturalizing are both eligible to naturalize and should be approved.
Denaturalization is not a new thing. It's been longstanding for decades at this point, but right now it is a criminal procedure where there's this really high bar to revoke someone's citizenship, and the defendant has a right to counsel as well right now. Kyle.
All right, this is, not unheard of in the past, but extremely rare. They'd go after people who, committed treason against the U.S. or people who obviously lied in order to sneak in as a U.S. citizen.
Right, we saw this several decades ago. We even saw former President Obama float this just about a decade ago. Now, when we talk about war crimes and extrajudicial killings and whatnot, yes, there's this other fear, though, right, where you have people who, let's say they didn't fill out a form correctly, or the government's claiming that they defrauded the government for, say, Medicaid or other benefits. Then it's like, how wide is this scope going to go?
Angeline McCall, thank you very much.